graduating school, I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want to just paint and make art. So I decided to like combine the art and the clothes together. And that's when I applied for fashion schools, but I didn't get into any of the ones I wanted because I had no like fashion background. So I ended up just going to a random school, learning how to do fashion. And then I applied like randomly to FIT. Like I didn't even know they had an MFA program. And I just applied to them and was like, hey, like I'm looking to do an MFA. And Kyle happened to be there like that week. And he's like, yeah, we're actually looking to start up an MFA right now. Like it's not even like a real program yet, but if you want to apply, like you can be the first person to apply. So I was the first person to apply for the MFA at FIT, and it was all right. But like, I pretty much, you know, then after I got in there, that's when I started really doing my thing and exploring. Cause I feel like in my undergraduate, it was more about just like learning how to sew, learning techniques, learning everything I could. So that way, when I like actually wanted to have an idea, I could actually execute it. I feel like it's so hard in fashion unless like, I mean, I noticed for like a lot of my friends from China and a lot of my friends from Asia in my MFA, like it was easier for them to contact factories and things like that. Just being like in like, you know, someone from Guangzhou could contact a factory really easily. Whereas in America, it's not that easy and it's very expensive. I know. So it's like for me to make my stuff, I had to do it all myself. So it's like I felt very restricted when I felt very restricted before I knew how to like, before the MFA, you know, I had to learn all the basics so that way when I had an idea, I could be like, all right, I know how to make this, you know, I like just practiced and practiced and practiced sewing and making and pattern making for like 4 years. And that, and then after that, I started making like my actually things that I wanted, you know, so it took time. Like, that's pretty much what I was trying to say to Bentley, like on like, you know, I applied to all these schools, I didn't get in. I really had to spend a lot of time learning, but I guess like, you know, if you can, you don't always have to do it that way. Like I said, like you could figure out how to work with factories and have them make your stuff. And if that's a whole process too of learning, like you need to learn how to communicate, you need to learn how to send them tech packs and samples, and the more information, the better, you know?
Right. So, wait, let me.
Just talking so fast.
No. I'm gonna ask my student. 早すぎて聞こえん？めっちゃブルーって感じですね。
Yeah, I can go back and talk a little slower. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna just, you know, I'm gonna translate to them in Japanese, you know, and then just like support you understand. トランスレートする？それともこのままチャレンジする？チャレンジしたい。でもいいですよ。ちょっと入れる？
はい、すみません。
OK。でもまあとりあえず俺のやつに頼らんとって聞こうとしてよ。とりあえずめちゃめちゃ早いこれはリスニングレベルで言ったらもうマックスって感じやけど、とりあえず彼自体は学校いろんなところファッションスクール行きたいところには入れんかって、でなんか結構ランダムな学校に行ってそこで自分の作るなんか服を縫えるようになっておこうと思って4年間使ってずっとひたすらパターン引いたりとか縫い物とかして準備をして。で、FIT の MFA のそのダイレクターに会ってたまたまでそこでちょうど今から作ろうとしてるからアプライしたらどうかみたいな話になって。Question: Where actually like did you meet Kyle?
All right, so like I said, when I was so I went to a school in Chicago actually.
Really?
I went to undergraduate in Chicago, and I was working on my thesis collection. And I pretty much went out to New York to buy fabrics for my collection. I stopped by FIT, and I was like, I just asked questions. I didn't even know if they had a program. I see. And I emailed the school like a week before, and they sent me Kyle's email and said, hey, this is the person who's running the MFA if it happens. Like, it might not happen, it might happen. We don't know yet. So I ended up just like, I set up a meeting with him and I just met him. Like, that's it. Like, I just went to New York and like, I just was hustling, you know, like that's how you got to do it in New York. Like, you just got to take risks. I had no clue who he was or what I was getting myself into, but I was like, I need a reason to come to New York City because in Chicago, there wasn't many connections in art and fashion. It was very like business city, you know? So it was like, I needed to get out of there and get to New York where the action is.
So actually,
that's why people go to Tokyo. That's why people go to Paris and New York. You know, that's where the fashion is and the art.
Right. So like, are you originally from Chicago?
I'm originally from New York, but not New York City. I'm upstate by where Niagara Falls is. And that's like another reason why my fashion background was so like little. Like, you know, there's not much it's not like a big city up here, and it's still a city, but there's like no art, no fashion. It's very like, boring. And there's literally no fabric stores in Buffalo, New York, where I'm from. And there's like a Joanne Fabrics, but you know how shitty that is. Come on.
Oh my God,
we're not trying to make Snuggies and weird shit like that. And
I see. Wait, let me just translate. 彼、ニューヨークのバファローっていうすごい上のところの出身なんだけど、そこから
by Niagara Falls.
ナイアガラの滝の近くの方が実家で、そこから、シカゴの学校に行ってファッション学んだんだけど、だからそのニューヨークってさ、学校が限られちゅうきさ、結構入れる。で、そこに受けたけど、どこにも入れんかってシカゴに行った感じやろ。シカゴのファッション学校行って、そこで学んで、で、そこからたまたまニューヨークに戻ってきた時に、なんかちょっとランダムに FIT にちょろって行ってみたら、ちょうど MFA が始まるよってことで、帰るとあって始まったみたいな。So, did you actually apply, or you just like go in by the conversation? Like,
and then he told me, when I went to meet him the first time, I took like a couple things. Like I had a book that I had made with all my work that I carried with me, and some like maybe like one or two garments that I had jammed in my backpack. And he pretty much told me like my work was shit. And he was like, I could tell like he had a lot of interest, but how Kyle is the kind that like he never wants to admit someone's work is good. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to admit someone's work is good. He doesn't want to like give you that like extra like good job. So he's just like, you could tell he had interest, but he was like, oh, this is so undergraduate fashion, like with sketches and just very traditional fashion. So he was just ripping me apart, and I was like, all right. And he was like, you need to make a whole new portfolio and have like this is where my whole thing started, where he was like, you need to have a purpose, because I was just designing for like whatever I wanted. Like I kind of just make, like I don't really ever have crazy concepts. I never really have like crazy purpose. It just kind of happens, and I'm inspired by every day. But he was telling me like, go make a portfolio that has purpose. And he was showing me like an example of one of his students who was like a mathematician. Mm-hmm. And they use math to make fashion, and he's like, you got to have some type of special purpose to try to change the world with fashion, because he's like, we don't need another like fashion designer just making pretty stuff. So you want to translate that?
いや、そのカイルってさっきから出てきたの、カイルがダイレクターの人なんだけど、その人に会って、なんかそのポートフォリオをたまたま見せて、作っちゃう服を見せたときに、なんかとりあえず、なんか全然ダメって言われて、ボロクソ言われて、なんか作りたいから作りよったんだけど、彼自体はもともとね。だけど、そのなんか MFA に入るには、そのなんかファッションポートフォリオを作るには、その目的が必要、何のために作るか、で、どういうふうにして世界を変えていくかってことを考えないかみたいなフィードバックを受けた。Great.That's interesting.
All right, and then I went and I was working so hard on this portfolio, and he kept telling me like, no, there's no purpose. You need to make a purpose. So I like made up some bullshit and said that I was gonna design some rooms, like design like these interior decoration rooms, and because like I had already been kind of doing this on my own, like I had been like styling my own apartment and like, kind of like making like lifestyle brand things. I do paintings, I make some weird furniture. I kind of like dabble in every medium. So I was like, all right, I'll make these rooms and they'll inspire the collection. And then I said in the future, if I ever have like the opportunity, I can make these rooms in real life and then present the collections in the room. And it'd kind of be like this experiential place.
I
creating like this like experiential fashion, and I'll show you in these pictures later when I show you. I have like I could screen share now if you want me to.
Yeah, let me just translate and then let's go to your screen. それでFIT のさ大学院ってそのなんかその出だしのポートフォリオにこの
It was mostly experience, like all about an experiential, like clothes in the fashion experience.
That sounds cool.
Or clothes in the room, or clothes and like interior design.
Oh, nice. で、なんかその、FIT ってその受験するときに、このプログラムに来たら何をするのかって言わないかがね、どういうことを目的に来るのか。で、彼が、悩みに悩んだ末に始めたのが、そのインテリアデコレーションを自分のそのなんかペインティングとか家具作ったりとか、そういうのが自分のコレクションのインスピレーションになってって、コレクションを発達させるみたいなアイディアになって、 ポートフォリオ見たら分かると思うけど、すごいなんかカラフルなアートペインティングが服になったりとか、なんかそういう、エクスペリエンスベースの、プロジェクトをやるって決めて、ポートフォリオを作ったっていうのが出だし。で、まあ、こうなるわけよ。Yeah, let's go to screen share. Oh wait, I think I should.
Cool. Let me see. Screen share.
Screen share.
Okay. How do I do this?
So like on the bottom,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there's a button saying screen share screen. Natchan, 大丈夫そう。
Can you see it working?
No yet.
Wait. It is working, right?
No. Oh yeah, it's now. Now it's working. Now it's working.
We on.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me figure out how to. I'm just gonna do there. Well, is this look all right for now? One sec. Because actually, if I do full screen mode, I probably won't be able to see you. But
I mean, it
doesn't matter. All right, let me do this. Hold up. Perfect. Now is it full screen? Perfect. So this is pretty much just like the book that I made for the end of my portfolio. This is my whole journey through the beginning to the end.
Oh, nice.
So, just opening the book up, a little bit, pretty much what I already told you. Like as a graffiti artist, I kind of like painting on clothes and destroying things. What's up?
Wait. I think like your screen, moving.
You can't see?
We are seeing your name, Lenny Vuitton.
You can't see any pictures.
No,
No.
yet.
One sec. What about now?
Seeing,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, I'm just gonna leave it how it is. Wait, it's the same or it's different?
What do you mean?
It's now like Louis Vuitton print with like
Okay.
The
flowers.
flower.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much, I just as a graffiti artist, I like destroying things and kind of taking things that aren't mine and then reclaiming them. That's like how I got the Lenny Vuitton name. I kind of just took something that people like to look at as very luxurious, and I just made it my own. And then the things that I make associated with it, have nothing to do with Louis Vuitton, unless it's sometimes when I'm painting on their bags. But for the most part, my clothes that I cut and sew look nothing like theirs. You want to translate?
いやいやいや、これがまあ出だしのこれから説明してくれるのは彼の一番最初の冒険から最後までやってくれる。これがまあ最初のやつで、彼自体はそのまあビトンのマークとかあるじゃん。なんかすごい高級品でみんなが欲しがるものみたいなものをどういう風にして自分なりのオリジナリティとしてなんかこう壊して組み替えてっていうのをやるかっていうのがまあ出だしのポイント。Great.
I would say it's kind of like spray painting on a train and then sending it off into the world. Not everyone's going to like it. Some people will like it. It's very niche market.
はい。で、さ、ビトンもそう長いけどさ、なんか、高級って思う人もおれば、なんかさ、ちょっとなんか、もう見慣れたよ、なんかおばさん臭いっていう人もおるじゃん。なんかそういう風にして、なんか、その物の価値も変わるし、なんかその現実からエスケープするっていうのも、彼の、なんかその、目的の一つ。
And especially during today, you go on Instagram and that's all you see is these designers pretty much taking Louis Vuitton print, Gucci print, and remaking it into streetwear stuff and pretty much making counterfeit, because that's the cool stuff, taking the iconography and just totally bashing it,
Right.
All right, so these are all right, you can translate what I just said.
そのビトンとかさ、なんかグッチとかもそうなんだけどさ、最近はもうそのプリントをさ、とりあえず載せるだけ載せてさ、ストリートウェアにしていくじゃん。で、なんかそういうインスタグラムのなんかそういう現代の流れみたいなのもそのイメージの一つに入っちゃって、まあ彼はビトンのマークとかを駆使しながらめちゃめちゃゴリゴリのストリートウェアを作るんだけど、まあそれは後で出てくる。Great.
So pretty much, this is the start of this picture right here. When I joined the MFA, it was a lot of experimenting, and the teachers wanted us to not make clothes. They wanted us to just I guess just work with our brain and kind of play around. So this was the first example of those experiential rooms that I created, but this was a miniature ones that I could work with, cheaper, easier to work with, more customizable. So this little box.
This is like when you are first year.
Yes.
Okay. Is it like first project?
This was like, yeah, first major project after, yeah.
これがFIT の MFA で一番最初にやった、授業の内容で服を作るなって言われて、そのなんかインスピレーションとなるオブジェクトを作るっていうので、ミニチュアの部屋を作った。That's cool. Is it like,
like, so these were like, you know, like things that I bought out of like a dollhouse that I decorated or I made out of clay, and then painted, but like very, very small. And there was lights in there and stuff like that. And this is just like, you know, I just kind of like took random stuff. Like it was very like experimenting. I had no clue why the teacher was making me do this stuff.
I mean, like, you know, like at the Parsons MFA, we do very similar things. Like,
yeah, I think it's a very like European style of teaching, kind of like, because that's where Kyle comes from. That's where my professor came from. Very like exercise your brain, you know, and then like see what you're capable.
I think that he's also from CSM MA or something. I think he
yes, right? He went to like Royal, like RCA or something like that. I forgot where he went.
Right, and then like also like, another information like Kyle was associate director at the Parsons MFA.
Yes, before he wanted to open the program there, but then he wanted to. They wouldn't let it happen, so he came to FIT to open it.
Yeah, so like it's kind of like similar.
Yes.
で、このカイルはそのロンドンとかで勉強しようやけど、その後、パーソンズの MFA の大学、俺が大学院の准教授というかセカンドヘッドしよったわけど、それをやめて FIT の MFA に移動した。で、俺らもこういうことやるわけで、服を作らずにインスピレーションを作る。で、彼はそのインテリアをミニチュアで作ったわけど、ちょうどさ、ニューヨークに帰ってきたばっかりやけど、自分の部屋とかも作るじゃん。で、デザインしていくじゃん。そういう流れっていうのも含まれてる。まあ、彼のパーソナリティが入ったプロジェクトになっちゃうっていう感じよね。Amazing. Great.
So these are just some more pictures. And then, like, this was like another experiment that I just kind of was doing. And I had painted all this like fabric, the big yardage of fabric. And then I ended up cutting it up into some garments. And these were like the scrap pieces off the floor that I ended up just making the faces out of through the color. So they were already, the colors were on the scrap pieces, and then I pretty much just used what was available to make these like little fabric faces that I sewed together.
That's
class.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like very weird like stuff. Kind of doesn't make sense, like no purpose, you know?
But yeah, amazing though. なんかその生地を使って絵描いたりとかコレクション作ったんだけど、これはまあその作業の中のうちの一つでできた作品やけど、これは作った作品の残りの布、スクラップのファブリックで作ったファブリックペインティングね。Amazing.
And then like so random, like this was Kyle gave me his violin and was just like, paint this for me, this is your next project. He was kind of like, you know, the teachers, like I feel like they just kind of tell you to do things in the MFA and you kind of just like do it, and then just to shut them up a little bit, you know, like so that they kind of know that you're trying. So this was just random, you know. It was like, I don't even know, I would have never done this if he didn't tell me to.
これをカイルが急になんかバイオリン渡してきて、これにペイントしろって言って、それが君の次のプロジェクトだって言ってペイントしたバイオリン。That looks so nice.
Thank you. And then like this was like, you know, I had always been into designing like toys, especially like you know, like those Japanese collectible toys. I don't know if Kid Robot's from Japan. I think it's an American brand, but I'm sure you guys know what it is and stuff like that. But I was always into like designing those, and when I was like little. And so when I told the MFA professors that I did that, they're like, well, we want to see you do that again, make some toys. So this was like my first time actually making the toys and the molds, and that's like kind of where they wanted me to work on small scale molding so that maybe I could start introducing this molding into like, you know, bigger garments and things like that. So I took like a random elective, which was like a sculpting class and a molding class, which at first I was like, why the fuck am I taking this? But honestly, in the end, I'm really glad I took it because like I learned a lot of cool stuff. So I feel like that's like one of the major things that I pulled from this MFA was, you know, you just kind of got to do things that you might not expect. And like some of them might seem so crazy or so stupid, but like if you don't try it, like you're never going to know. You have to like waste your time and waste energy and do all this crap. to kind of just experiment, like with everything. You know, like
Right.
if you don't cut that fabric, you can always buy more. Like you're going to have to spend money and it's going to be annoying and you're going to go poor. But like at the end of the day, like you're not cutting off your hand, you're cutting fabric, you know?
Right, so true. これは別のクラスで撮った時に、そのちっちゃい頃におもちゃをすごい作ったりとかしよって、日本にもあるじゃん、集めるフィギュアが。そういうのをやりよったって思い出を教授に話したら、じゃあそれを見てみたい、作ってほしいって言われて、それをなんか作るためにスカルプチャーのクラスとかを取ったんだけど、大学の選択授業でその取った時はなんで自分はこんな授業を取って時間の無駄やって思ったけど取ってみてやっぱ良かったなって思うのと、あとやってみんとさ一生学べんことってあるじゃん。だからとりあえず自分はなんでって思いながらやって今は良かったなって思うのが、まあ、やってみてこれは違う、これは良かったっていうのが分かったっていうのは、まあ、彼言ってくれて、MFA の良さっていうのは入った瞬間に予測してないようなことさせられる。でそれを最初は時間の無駄って思うけど、その時間の無駄とかお金の無駄っていうものが最終的にクリエイティブにつながっていくっていう経験なんですね。Great.
And I would say, like, you know, the reason they were kind of having me do this was because, like, I guess this was kind of what I grew up doing. So they wanted me to, like, relive my past, I guess, a little bit before diving in on the clothes.
Right.
Like, it kind of makes no, like, I'm showing you these things and it's like makes no sense, you know? Like, even these, like, I looked at the next slide and I'm like, they're not going to understand this. But this is just, I guess, like art that I would make on my own, kind of like art that I used to make. It kind of just shows you where I'm coming from and where my designs are inspired by. And like, you know, like these are like some old pictures that someone got out of like their grandmother's house and they were like, I don't know what the hell they are, but I think it'd be cool if you like ruined them and painted on them and made them really funny and stuff like that. So I kind of just like, it's a juxtaposition between, you know, like things that aren't, I like to do things that like, that don't look like they're supposed to be together.
Right. Is it like a big painting?
No, they were like little postcards. And someone sent them to me and was like, can you please paint them for me?
で、彼はそのなんか昔の写真を使ってその上にペインティングしようやけど、昔のポストカードね。で、彼は常に好きなんだけど、そのなんか本来一緒にあるべきじゃないものが一緒にあるっていうその違和感が好きっていうのがまあ彼のそのデザインポリシー。だからその古いものにペイントをしていく。I know the Cardi B bag, no?
Yeah. So pretty much like this is kind of like the same aesthetic as the things I've been showing you. I took something that already has like this reputation that people know it as like luxurious and nice, and they're all like, oh, why did you ruin it? Why did you paint on it? But some people love it. You know, like I said, it's not for, my style isn't for everyone. Like some people really hate this. They're like, why did you ruin this bag? And I'm like, to me, I didn't ruin it, but.
Wait, so did you buy actual Louis Vuitton bag?
Yeah. So my friend, like this kid that I grew up with, he's like more of a businessman and he went to school for business and he ended up graduating and working for like a private jet company, and he helps like do private jet charters and like, you know, rent them out to celebrities and things. So he's a little younger and he tries to obviously target like the more hip celebrities, and they fly around Cardi B. So when she had her baby, they were like, we really want to do something for her. She's a good client. And my friend hit me up and they were like, we'll buy a Louis Vuitton bag and we'll pay you. We want you to decorate it. We're going to give it to her as a baby shower gift.
Oh, that's sweet. で、これはなんか彼はそうなんだけど、昔からそのさ、みんながわかるような高級なものとかいいものって言われるものの上に自分のペイントをするっていう、そのなんか壊していくデザイン価値を変えていくっていうのがまあ自分のエステティックやき、そのうちの一つのやり方で、これカーディビーにあげたがやけど、カーディビーがなんか使いよったがこれ。で、それがカーディビーの赤ちゃんが生まれたベイビーシャワーのギフトであげたヴィトンのカバン。I love that.
And like, you know, this is kind of when like I guess people really liked this idea that I was doing, where this is like recreating a sustainable, reusable bag out of the shopping bag. And that's when I started making a bunch of them and selling them, because people were like, oh, we love the plastic shopping bag. Like now you see it all over. Ridiculous.
で、これなんかサステナビリティにも関係する、なんかそのさ、使い終わった後のショッピングバッグの上にプラスチック、ルイ・ヴィトンって書いてある茶色いやつはただのショッピングバッグをデコレーションしてデザインして売るっていうやり方を今しゅ。
When I took the bag to the garment district to put the grommets in, the people were so pissed. They're like, we're not touching this. We're not doing this. Like, super expensive bag. If we ruin this, we're not paying you.
I like it though. That's very nice.
So this is just like more stuff kind of that Kyle was having. Sorry, it's a little out of order.
Yeah,
but, this was just like more stuff from that molding class and the sculpture class, me experimenting with clay. And then this was the, like when I said I was spray painting on the fabric, and then I made those faces from the scraps. So this is pretty much what I was doing. And then, you know, cutting up the fabric. See on the end here, you can see like I kind of started making a garment out of.
Right.
So the beginning was like spray painted. The next one I started hand painting, and then I cut it up and collaged it and like kind of quilted different pieces of it together. And then I started draping it.
Oh, I see. これは生地の上にスプレーペインティングしたり、手で絵描いたりとかして顔作って、でそれをコラージュとしてデザインソースにして、そこからドレーピングが始まって服になっていくってそのブリッジの部分やね。Great.
And then just more painting on fabric. And then I pretty much was like, you know, just painting however I wanted on the fabric, like hung it up on the wall. And then I didn't have any specific way of like laying down the pattern pieces, but I just laid them down randomly and turned that fabric into these pants, you know. It's kind of like what they had me doing, just painting on fabric and then turning it into garments.
I see. So like the garments, like, you know, those like details, like what you usually like?
What's up?
Like these like pants designs, like the details. Like, how did you decide? Like, basically, you like?
Pretty much, like, for these ones, to be honest, I literally laid down I laid the pattern pieces down randomly on the fabric that I had just painted. So I kind of knew, like, where some things were going to fall, like, you know, different brush, like, strokes or different little, like, splatters of paint. But for the most part, like, I kind of just let things go with the flow, you know? Like, it was very one of one. Like, I'm going to just, like, cut these up and see how they fall together and create these pants when I sew the fabric together.
I see.
Like, almost surprise myself.
Like, it kind of, like, interesting for me, though. Like, you know, like, persons MFA, people, like, do, like, whatever they want. Like, kind of, like, okay, do the freedom. And then our shape also so free, too. You know?
Not very...
Like, like sometimes it's just like not garments, it's just like a piece of wearable fabric.
Well, yeah, honestly, that's what the teacher was trying to get me to do for the whole entire time at my MFA. It was trying to get me to create like huge runway like pieces and things, and like he kept saying like, well, these are still pants, like pants are pants, or you keep designing basic things, but like to be honest, at the end of the day, like I can make that weird stuff. Like I can make some crazy shit. Like I don't know if it's gonna be as crazy as your stuff with all this like bugs crawling out of it and like vines and like live creatures. But like I could definitely like I think I have some weird things in here that you'll see. But like I don't know. I hate creating stuff and then like it just sitting like in a museum or something. So like for me personally, I love to like. I like to push it as much as I can and then sell it so that someone can still wear it on the street, you know, like a lot. Like I have made some pieces that are more like occasional pieces, but I feel like I kind of try to make like wearable art that's for the everyday.
Right. That's like, you know, this is like, to be honest, like at the MFA, it's the most like kind of difficult things to, you know, make. You know, like the normal pants and things I think are so hard to make. Yeah. Like, especially when you're going for like a function, you know, you put the pants on and they don't feel right. They don't feel right, and like it drives you crazy. いや、これはそのさっき書いたやつをパンってしちゃうけど、俺がその喋れたのは大体 MFA とか大学行ったらなんかそうやってフリーに好きなもの作ってって言われて、じゃあ実際に着れるパンツ作りたいって言ったらなかなか作らせてくれなかったね、逆に。なんかもっといけ、もっと挑戦しろっていう感じやき、だからこれを逆に作ったのはすごいなって感じ。なんか本当にすごい戦わんと作らせてくれんけどさ、そういう服っていうものを。ただ彼はそのなんかミュージアムに行くような服を作るんじゃなくて、人が着るような服を作りたいっていうのがあるき、そのポリシーを貫きよったっていう。I like the pants.
Honestly, like when I came into the program, I literally thought I was going to be in the class with a bunch of like people making stuff like you with like all of these crazy like just avant-garde, like over the top, like insane art pieces, you know? And like I was very nervous because I was like I had seen like, you know, when I was applying for these schools, I was looking at like Central St. Martin's and things, and there's people doing like these crazy garments. Everything looked Alexander McQueen, like over the top, you know? And I was just like, holy hell, like I'm fucked. Like I only make like real clothes, kind of like things that people actually know as pants, you know? And
But like that's good. Like like even though you're making real clothes, but you already like put like your art.
I was very scared, but like at the end of the day, when I actually got in the program, it was funny because like a lot of the students who intimidated me on the first week of school, I was like, oh my God, their work's so good. They were actually asking me questions like, how do I make pants? How do I make a shirt? It's like, there's no rules to like doing some of the more artsy pieces, which I really like. There's no rules in fashion at all. There's no right or wrong, especially when you're sewing pants like this and stuff. But it's also very easy to like make it like not fit right, or like not when you're walking in it and not work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, there's a different like aspect to it. And I think that like being able to know both is actually like very useful, because like, I feel like once I learned how to like do this stuff, then I could go and like kind of just decorate them with other crazy things, and like I think that with your work, even like when I first saw your work at the CFDA event, like I noticed that like a lot of these people, like they make these garments and they're not very wearable, or it's like impossible to put on. You need 5 people to help you put it on, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But like, for you, it looks like, it looks like you have more like freedom when you create, because like you're creating these, like you create like this base platform, or like, even when you make those jumpsuit things that you like then decorate with the most bottom layer, it's like, once you learn how to do that platform, I feel like you feel way more comfortable, and then you can like kind of branch out and do whatever you want, like you learn how to make a traditional like cargo pocket, then you can really kind of like push the limits of like, oh, I want to make a cargo pocket that has like a bug trap on it, or some weird stuff that you would make, like some crazy stuff.
That things like, like my BFA in Tokyo was like all technical, like dressmaking school. So, what I learned,
like we're gonna learn this today.
Yeah, sewing like pattern making those stuff.
Hey everyone, we're gonna learn how to put a button in today.
So, let me just translate. 彼はその話してたけど、リアルな服を作って、自分がそういうものを作りたいけど、MFA 行ったらみんながさ、なんかクリエイティブだってなんかわーって作るのによって、ちょっとやばいなって思いながら MFA 過ごしてきたわけなんだけど、じゃあコレクション作りますってなって、最初の方に、君の作品すごいいいじゃんって言われよった、評価されることとかが、よしコレクション作りますってなったら、ポケットってどうやって作るの？パンツってどうやって作るの？みたいな。逆に自分にいろいろ意見を聞いてきて、服作りを助ける立場になって、だからなんか彼はもっと作り手の方やけさ、彼の作品見たら分かるけど、めっちゃ服作れるけど、この人。でめっちゃ作れる服があって、そのクリエイティブな方を学ぶっていう、やっぱ両方があって、服作りってメイクセンスやなって彼はすごい感じる。で、逆にそのアートっぽいの作る人は、卒コレの時に大変な思いですよね。自分のアイディアが服にできるみたいな。Like, I had like very similar situation,
Yeah. I feel like, don't you feel very restricted before you learn how to do that stuff? Because like, for example, when you made that vest, like the vest that you have all the little pockets in and tucks in, it's like even just making the basic shape of that vest before you could decorate it with all your crazy stuff, it's like you feel a lot like better on yourself if you could do that seamlessly. If you could make the basic thing that you want to make seamlessly without having to worry like, oh, I want to make this crazy garment, but I don't even know how to make the foundations of it, you'll be you'll be able to create way more than you think you can.
Right. やっぱり彼もずっと言うけど、なんか自分がじゃあ例えばジャケット作るぞとかベスト作るぞってなった時に、縫い目をどういう風に流していくかとか、そういうのもデザインのプロセスになっていくき、物が作れるっていうのはそういうところも考えれるっていうのが、俺と多分結構畑が日中がっつり服作ってる上でこういうのやりいう感じの流れかな。
But also, like, you gotta say, like, you don't have to learn that stuff. Like, I know I'm like so pro for learning the basics, like construction of garments, but like, not like, that might not be for everyone. Like, some people like just draping and doing stuff like that, and that's totally okay. Like, it's just, everyone has there's no right or wrong. Like, that's what I always try to tell people. Like, when someone, like I said, like some of the students in my class that would make more like, high fashion pieces would ask me like, hey, how do I make this shirt? And I would tell them like, this is how you do it, like according to me or the book or something. But to be honest, like there's no, like, I've never used a book to learn how to pattern make ever. I hate reading the books. I literally teach myself, cut things, and I kind of just like, draw it on the paper. And if it doesn't work, I do it again. And like, that's how I learned that there's no, like, I never understood the, like the, measure here, because everyone's body is different, and those books are like, you're designing for a robot, and they tell you like, oh, this is how you design for someone a little thicker or a little skinnier, but it's like, I don't know. It's too much. Like if you can just learn how to just do it in your head without having to like move your ruler down 2 inches and over 3, and you can just kind of like eyeball it, your life will be easier. Your life will be and less stressful.
で彼はそのパターンとか自分で引くやけど、その本を読んで学ぶのが嫌いで、っていうのがその数字で学ぶけど、それはロボットに作るみたいで、人って全然形違うし、だから彼は自分で絵描くようにピーってパターンを引いてって、その組み替えていくっていうやり方でパターンを自分で学んだ。で
Like even like, you know, I make like weird things like this. Like I totally hand sewed this.
Did it?
Yeah. So this is like fully lined winter coat, you know?
これ彼が作ったやつね。この人めっちゃ作れるけど、本当に服。
いいね、感覚的に作れて。
こんな感じとかってめっちゃね、面白いパターンを引くよ。め
っちゃ着心地よさそう。
No, way different than what you see it from my normal style, you know?
Yeah, I really remember that, like, you know, I was like so impressed by like your final garments.
That black one, that huge puffer coat you love.
Yeah, oh my god, that was like so well made. And then like your pattern cutting is just amazing. That was like, wow.
Yeah, I never used the book. Ever.
It's like literally like, you know, like my experience, like being like MFA students, I never met someone can actually do pattern making, like pattern cutting, like sewing themselves, because like, you know, they hire pattern makers. And
Tell me about it. Everyone hires, but like there's nothing wrong with that, because it's like, I don't know. It's just like, it's easy. I think that if you learn how to do it yourself, you'll be able to cut your costs and you'll be able to communicate with the factory about 100 times better, because when I take this to like, you know, the garment district, go talk to a seamstress, like the first thing they always say is, you made this, like they're like so surprised that I made this, you know. And then like, you know, because I made it, I can talk about it better and they understand, and they know that like they you know, they know that I know the garment. They know that if you take them a garment that you didn't make, the seamstress might say like, oh, this is very complex garment, and it might not be complex garment, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's like makes sense. Like, you know, like most of like my students, like classmates, like you know, like they try to like communicate with like seamstress, but like they need to like, you know, go through with pattern maker.
Yeah, and
can you just explain why I'm trying? You know what I mean? So like it's just like very complicated.
Very complicated, and you know, like pattern makers are already working for like people in the garment district and in China and things like that who are doing this production are not working for a lot of money to begin with. So if they find someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, they're not gonna like say, oh, they're gonna take your money if you're giving it to them and you don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like. Mm-hmm. They're already giving you a very good deal sewing. Like when I took this garment to the garment district, they're like, oh, this will cost you $500 for the sample, $500 for the pattern or something. And that's without the cost of the fabric. It cost me about $500 in fabric to make that. And it's just like, I don't know if someone would know that, like if they didn't, you know, like.
Right. 彼は自分でパターン引くき、なんかその、まあ、さっき話しちゃったのはパターンメーカーもいらんじゃん。で、縫いも自分でできるき、なんかその自分の思ったものをすぐこう形にできるってやりやすいやり方。まあそれがでもいいわけやけど、なんかまあ別にプロを雇って作れるけど、まあ自分でできるってことは、そのなんか最終的に将来のコストを削減したりとかさ、いろんな人とコミュニケーションするときにすごいやりやすくなる。き、まあ彼は本当にめちゃめちゃ作れるきさ、すごいよ。
Like the whole production industry is such a bargain thing, you know. It's not like set prices. You really gotta like know what you're doing, know who you're working with, or else people are gonna charge you more than you need to be paying. Like I see it happen all the time. Like my friends from China from my class, my MFA, would come back with like crazy prices on the crazy garments, and then my friends that would stay in New York to get their garments made. That still had like connections, you know, like some of my Chinese friends would make connections in New York City with Chinese seamstresses, but those people were still charging way more, you know, like way more than like, you know, Yu Chen, who was getting it straight from China and then mailed in.
I mean, like, I think a person's MFA, they need to pay around $50 per hour. That's pretty much kind of what the seamstresses were, I guess, charging. Like, but the seamstress work wasn't as good as like some of the things that I saw from production in China. Like do you remember Wu in my class? He was like a businessman. He like totally
paid for his whole collection to get made out there, and when he paid like thousands of dollars, but when they sent it back, it was just so good. Like, it came with samples, it came with final garments, he got like a video made and everything. I was just like, holy hell, you know. So like, there's different ways of doing it.
Right, it's a Chinese magic, you know.
Literally, I was begging for it the whole time. I was like, please help.
Right.
What's up?
You know when you went about making the coats and making patterns and stuff?
Yes.
Did you look at garments that you had? Like, did you look?
Yeah. So,
or did you just unpick? You know what I mean?
Honestly, that's a good question. So pretty much, I'll do all types of things. Like, whether it's like, you know, what I started doing with like the basic way that I started making like jackets and things was I cut apart a button-down shirt, like a 2XL button-down shirt. Pretty much literally cut the seams and then made a pattern from it, traced it exact, so that way I had a button down, you know, in my stock. And then I pretty much made the button down, and then after that I like, you know, saw how it fit, and then I kind of edited the pattern a little, made the armholes a little bigger, and it's really not much different than like, you know, I turned the men's button down shirt into a denim jacket really easily. You know, it was really easy to do that. And I pretty much just will look at pictures online, see where seams are going, try to do it. Like, it's not going to work every time. Like, the amount of times I had to redo it to finally get my end outcome was nuts, you know. And I probably made like 3 or 4, like, this was what one of my at school I always hung around the dude, like the guy or the girl who fixed the machines, like the people who were hired at the school. Those are like the smartest people in my opinion, because they know how to work the machine, they know how to fucking sew. I used to chill with this guy in my undergrad, and he always would tell me, don't worry about making sample, just make final garment, just keep making final garment, and every time you make it, it'll get better, you know. So just do that, like literally, like make your sample 1 or 2 times out of muslin and then dive into final fabric, because at the end of the day, like once you're at a certain point and you can make a garment, people aren't going to notice little mistakes. Like, people buy shit clothes all the time from the store, pay thousands of dollars for shit, you know. So it's like, sometimes when you're a sewer, you like notice a small mistake in your clothes and you're like, holy fuck, like there's a loose thread right here, how am I going to sell this? It's like someone just bought a shirt that the sleeve's going to fall off in 2 days, you know.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like it as a sewer, it's way harder to sell your stuff because you know all the flaws in the garment. Like, you forgot to serge a seam. Like, you know how many garments we probably all have that don't have a serge seam that are fraying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to show?
いや、彼は今そのパターンの話しちゃったけど、今ベンチュラーがどうやってそのジャケットとか引くときにやってるの、現物見てるのとか言って、まあ彼は現物も見るし写真も見るし、とりあえず3回も4回もパターンを引き直してから、それでパターンを抜いて作る。まあその紙から始めるときもあるし、現物見るときもあるし、まあそれはもう感覚的な話。多分これやりよったら分かると思うけど、パターンって感覚的になってくるじゃん、やりよったらずっと。こう多分分かってくると思うけど、かっちり製図引くんじゃなくて、立体の上で触りながら紙を触れるようになってくる時あるじゃん。その感覚やと思う、すっごい。
Like, for pairs of pants and things, like I would literally cut apart a pair of pants in my size, in the size that I wear, literally just make that exact same pair of pants, figure out like how to do the fly front zipper, how to do these weird little things, like how I'm doing the pockets. Now I can make a pair of pants step by step. Like, I have every step just processed in my head. Don't need anything. Like, I know all the steps, but it's like I do that, and then that's your pair of pants. Just next pair, like the next pair you want to make out of a different fabric, taper the leg in, shorten it, like give it a long cuff or something. Just do something like give it a different pocket shape, and that's when you really start like learning how to like maneuver and like manipulate these different garments.
Right. Do you also do lag off?
Huh?
Do you also do lag off?
What do you mean? Wait, what was that?
Lag off.
Lag off.
Uh-huh.
What is this?
It's like like touching actual garments and then copy the pattern.
Yeah, that's what I like. What do you mean, cut it apart?
I mean like a copy, like
I have done that. It's a little harder. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, you like measure the seams and things.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a little harder. And honestly, I have done it. Like, I had to do that with let's see if there's a picture. 1 sec. So this garment, can you see my screen still? Can you see this thing I just pulled up?
Yeah.
This black thing?
No. We can only see Lenny Vuitton. Which
Okay.
Yeah, that's three
Hold up.
pictures.
Hold up. Let me see.
it's like
Now you can see it, right?
No.
Nothing's changed.
Oh, this thing.
Oh yeah.
So this was like a vintage Dior garment that like we had to do this project that was we went in the archives at FIT. We were assigned a garment. My group was assigned like this Dior like blouse, and we had to remake the garment through what is it called? Lagging off. You said. We had to remake this garment through lagging off, and it looked like we just had to remake it completely what it looked like. Let me see if I can find a picture of. I don't know. I don't have a picture. It was like some ugly, like original Christian Dior, like an original by him. Weird, like tie, like it was very ugly. It was like a women's business suit, like skirt and top. And then after we remade it out of the same fabric, same size, exact dimensions, we had to recreate our own version of it. So pretty much, I took that and I modified the pattern. We never cut up the original garment. It's like very rare garment. So like the garment that this is my remix of it, and I turned it into like a nylon, like modern day puffer thing, but like,
でこれはなんかディオールの昔のやつのパターンをくり抜いて自分バージョンを作りましょうって、さ、モード学園でもやったじゃん、そういうやつ。なんか俺ら見た現物からやるやつ。で、今回のやつはそのなんか現物を触りながら抜いていくパターンを、バージョン。俺らは写真だけでなんかゲスってやったじゃん。Actually, like in Japan, like we have this type of like class, pattern making class. We just like pick like the designer garments and then we copy.
Yeah, exactly. So like this was like my muslin of it.
Right.
It looks way different before I put the puffer in. Picture. I don't have a picture of the original, but that was it. It was just like some weird. I just made it into like a streetwear garment kind of thing. But yeah, I would just say like another thing to do is like make your garment or take your garment that you bought from the thrift store or something, or the garment that you don't wear anymore, and like put it on the dress form and slash the shoulders, drop the shoulders, pin some fabric in there, cut that, see how the pattern, and then turn that into a pattern piece, and just kind of experiment. Like you got to do things. You just got to do. Yeah, I don't know.
That's MFA program, right?
This was from the MFA, yes.
Right.
Like
it's
one of the
very interesting, like MFA program. You guys like still kind of like doing very technical aspect of garment construction.
Yeah, I mean that was more like one sec. It was more like they weren't teaching us that at all. They were just they weren't teaching us that. They were like, here's your assignment.
Okay.
Go make whatever you want. Like, don't ask questions. Come next week with the final garment. Like I didn't. I taught myself all that during that period though, because I had never made anything like that before. So I pretty much was like looking at my puffer coats at home, my winter coats, and I was like, how the fuck are these made? Looking at all the little details, and then I pretty much started doing it. Like go look at like a North Face coat, something really complex that you think that's that black coat that you that black coat that you liked. Let's see, hold up.
Yeah, can I see it?
Let me see. It's on here somewhere. That coat, like I never thought my whole entire this is part of it right here. But I never thought my whole life I could ever make something like this. Like I was like really kind of surprised. This was it on the right.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's way crazier in person. The pictures don't really do justice, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like as you can see, there's like this weird like hood on it, and it's just like this massive puffer thing.
It's so interesting that everything in that collection there is so colourful, and then there's just one large black coat.
Yeah, honestly, because so when I made that Dior thing that I just showed you, that all black look, I really was like loving like the actual like construction of making that type of stuff. It was very like pleasing to me, working outside of my comfort zone and working outside of color. It felt very, instead of focusing on, like for me, I usually focus on textile. I focus on how the garment's color is going to look and some weird monster on it, like all these. But for me to start designing in black a little, it was like I could prove, because a lot of people tell me like, oh, you don't know how to pattern make, you don't know how to cut and sew, because they think I just paint on clothes. Like people see my work and they say, oh, you just paint on things, and I'm like, no, I'll cut and sew everything he wants. And so that was like more of like a piece that I put in there to kind of say like, yeah, I can do this.
Right.
Oh, that's amazing.
なんか彼はそのパターンカッティングもすごいけど、彼のプロセスってなんか物の上に絵描くだけじゃんとか、どうせリメイクしただけだろってすごい言われるけど、自分は実はなんか服のコンストラクションもすごい知識があって作れるっていうのがまあ彼の売り長いけど、そのなんか授業 FIT のMFA ってそのなんかパターンのクラスがあるわけよ。俺らないけどそんなの絶対。でなんかこの昔の服から作ってこいみたいな。でも教えてくれるわけじゃなくて、やってこい。来週じゃあファイナルガーメント持ってきてね。バイバイみたいな感じの授業をやる。っていうのの授業の一つ。それをやったおかげで最後に見せた黒いコートは自分のノースフェイスとかのやつを見て作ったコートなんだけど、すごい作り集が。で、そういう授業がなかったら絶対自分じゃ作らなかったなっていう、まあ、MFA 行ったからこそのコート。
It's funny because after I made that, the teacher was like totally like, "Oh, this is shit. It's just a jacket." Like like the teacher would say, "Oh, it has sleeves, it has a collar. Like, why does it have these things? It shouldn't have any of these things." And I'm like, I just like let it fly in one ear out the other because I'm like, no, you're not convincing me today. Like I spent a lot of time on this.
Right.
So this was my first collection, I guess you could say, like my first mini collection at the MFA. It was just a small little like, you know, I made a little like editorial kind of thing and shot it myself. I did the painting on the wall.
ペインティングも自分でやったやつのスモールコレクション一番最初に作った。
And the photography. I do it all myself.
Oh, really?
Everything.
カメラも全部自分で撮った。
Find the models, style the models, paint their head.
キャスティング自分でしたりとか写真撮ったりとか全部自分でやった。で、壁のやつとかもスプレーして撮った最初のコレクション。
And I always find my models like through my friends or through Instagram because I hate using models through an agency because A, they're expensive and B, they're not cool. Like I love using these people off the street that are like couldn't get into a modeling agency or edgy.
Same. I do same way. インスタ使ってキャスティングしたりとか、道の。
Yeah, so your model. So much better. This was my friend Thunder. Like this is just me making stuff for fun, you know. This is just I literally had like a week of break during my MFA, and this is what I did. Like I just made some extra stuff. Like I don't know why, kind of crazy.
I like that. これは自分が時間あった時に作ったやつ。1週間時間あった時作った作品。
And at one point, they thought that I was going to make children's clothes, so I made this for my friend's daughter, and just gave it to her. But I like it. I think this would be cool to make.
That's cute, like with your toy.
Yeah, so this was actually like this was something that I kind of like started doing. Like I like hung up fabric, like I was saying, and then I was painting it, and I really wanted to make these raincoats that were waterproof. So then I laminated the fabric with this plastic so that the rain wouldn't get through. So this is hand painted, hand tie-dyed underneath, fabric totally made by us. Actually, she helped me make the fabric. I turned her painting into the coat.
Oh, that's cute. その子供にも一緒に絵描いてもらって作ったレインコート。水が入らんやつ。
This was just some like random stuff. They always have me doing random stuff at MFA. Next project.
Wait, so that project was like making mask?
This project was around Halloween, and I made this mask for myself, and the bodysuit was like for some project, and I just thought they looked good together, so I put them together, and I created this like textile monster. It was supposed to be like, it was this whole thing that like they loved my textiles, and they wanted me to create this. They said I'm a textile monster, so this was like a representation of myself, I guess. A New York City monster running around.
I see. これはテキスタイルをいっぱい作るテキスタイルモンスターと呼ばれよって、これがまあ自分を象徴した写真、テキスタイルモンスターでニューヨークシティを駆け巡ってなんか柄をつけていくっていうその自分のセルフポートレートに近い感じのプロジェクト。
And you can see like, look at these people over here. They're so scared. Did it zoom in?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So funny.
The purge.
This is more of this. And then more of me kind of just experimenting around with like, you know, random shit. This was kind of more of this textile monster thing. Like, I don't know. This is a little out of order. I put this together this morning because my book was all messed up. This was for that Jeffrey Bean competition. That's where all this textile stuff actually started when that Jeffrey Bean stuff came around because they were like, you should create new version of Jeffrey Bean textiles. Started creating all these textiles, laminating things. This was heavily inspired by like the Chinese kids in my class, because I feel like all the Chinese kids in my class were like putting plastic on everything. So they're teaching me how to melt rubbers and things and like do all this stuff. But it was very like, I don't know, like I felt like even like the Chinese students who came for the programs after me, the past 2 MFAs after me, they all work with plastic too.
Right.
It must, like, I don't know what it is. Like I'm telling you, all the kids in my class, like I'm sure, and at Parsons too, a couple kids, a lot of melting in the heat press and things like that.
Right.
So that's like, I created this textile monster, and it was kind of like this weird like story that they had me create. More crazy things that the MFA make me do.
で、これは JLB っていうなんかコンペティションがあるんやけど、そのなんか奨学金がもらえるやつなのね。で、それってテキスタイルに結構特化してる、それで作ったプロジェクトなんやけど、インスピレーションはそのクラスメートの中国人の生徒たちで、っていうのが、なんかもうみんなもうほぼみんなって言っていいほど中国人の人はなんかプラスチックをね、ラミネーションしたがりよって、なんでかわからんけどみんながプラスチック使うって、それが面白くて、なんかインスピレーションもらったっていうテキスタイル。
And this whole time, like they're telling me like, all right, like we get it. You know how to create. You're a very good creator. You can keep making. Like that's what I do is I make, and I don't stop. Right. But like, why are you doing this? What is this for? How are you going to sell this? Like, what are you going to do with this? And I kept saying like, I'm going to sell it. Like this stuff, like people like this stuff. And it's just like art. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess like they kept pressuring me saying like, you know, like you have to have this purpose. So this is like more towards the end of the MFA. I'm still just going all over the place, making what I want. I'm not listening to the teacher at all. Like teacher tells me to do something, I do it, but then I do my other stuff too. So that way they can't yell at me. Like I still did what they asked me to do. I do both, you know?
Right.
Did they like you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly want to say like he really loves me because I did everything that he still said, and I still did like I kind of was just going to the top with the amount of work I was doing, and like he was even like, you need to chill out a little bit, you're doing so much, it's really good. But like, and me and him became really good friends actually. Like I really love this teacher, even though the program like totally kind of just went crazy. Like this teacher and I are very good friends, and I think that like, you know, I think that the way he teaches is very like, it can drive some people crazy, but I think with some people it really works. You know, like towards the end of the program, like they all started realizing that I don't have a purpose and that I'm not going to have a purpose, and that's going to kind of just be this evolving brand that lives with life. You know, like I always would say, like you see these brands pop up now and they have a very hard aesthetic, very strong aesthetic, and they're never really changing or never introducing new things into their like garments or their stuff, and their clothes look the same season after season, and it's like they don't last many seasons. You know, they are in and out. Like they're one trend. You have to be constantly evolving. You look at Gucci every year, their runway collection looks like even if it's the same designer, always different. You know, it's gonna be like completely different. Like think about their collection. I mean, they do have like their aesthetics, but like for the most part, like things are pretty different.
Yeah,
like,
sure. That makes sense.
And like, to be honest, like my whole, like towards the end of the program, I started realizing like, I even want to push that further. Like I want to push this difference even further. Like I want to have my brand evolving. I want to have like, you know, not one logo, maybe a logo that changes every month, or maybe like, you know, when you saw my clothes last month, you thought it was a completely different designer, just because that's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do seasons. I'm going to go completely against the standards and like a fuck you to the fashion industry. Because I think that with how the fashion industry is working right now, it's very like, it's very single path, and it's very hard, and everyone's doing the same thing. It's very saturated, and like my teacher said, like we don't need another brand just like pumping out like, you know, some like staple pieces. You know, like I have a lot of friends that like graduated, and I think they kind of were like, fuck it, like my designs aren't very good. I'm just gonna start making like white and black like basic like overthrow coats. But it's like, you know how many other people are already doing that? Like I get that you have the connection back home in the factories where you're from, but it's like, you know, like I have literally 5 friends that make clothes that it's like they all look like they could be sold on the same rack at Barnes, you know.
これさっきから喋ってもらえるの、なんか彼の今何やるか、彼ってめちゃめちゃいろんなものを作るからね、なんか止まることなくひたすら作って、ひたすら作って、ひたすら作るんだけど、帰ると教授とどんな感じだったかみたいな、教授が言うことと、ちょっと違うことやったりとか、宿題以外のことをやるがやけど、ベントレーが先生といい感じって言って、Oh, you made that too?
No, no, I bought this
okay.
I bought this at Blue Blue in Japan.
Okay.
You know that store, right? Blue Blue? I don't even know where it is. It's in like that. It's in this cute little like town.
So
I don't even know.
Is that Boro?
Yes, I bought it in Japan. And then this like inspired a lot of my stuff too, because I love like Japanese boro and stuff like that.
Yeah, Boro. Yeah.
I'm like very hands-on like technique stuff, you know. So these were just like, you know, fabrics that I kind of like, or these are like weird garments that I kind of just like, you know, I drew, like my teacher said, just go paint like a random picture and then try to turn that into a garment. But for me to like just paint, like me to just throw paint at the wall and have it be a splatter and turn that into a garment, it just is not, my brain doesn't work like that. Like some people can do that like easily. So like, as you can see in these like paintings I made, these are probably like this big, like massive paintings. You can still kind of see clothes, you know?
Yeah. 絵描いてそれを服にするっていうプロセスですごいでっかい絵。
But the whole point of it was to make the painting and then make clothes from the painting with no inspiration of clothes. Try to turn the painting into clothes, which was like, I don't know how he expected me to just kind of like throw some paintings on there and then turn it into clothes, you know? So then I started dyeing hair randomly.
I love that. Yeah.
One of my best friends, he's from Thailand and he moved to New York and he like, this is his thing, like having crazy hair. And he knew I was a painter and like he lived in Chicago and he had someone else painting his hair, but when he moved to New York, he had no one to paint his hair. So he's like, Lenny, can you please try like to do something? And this one on the I Love New York one was the first one we did. And then I did some of these ones, and then I did this Mickey Mouse one, which everyone loved. That shit was crazy.
It's so good.
And then like literally, let's see, started doing some other hair, and then my professor saw the hair stuff, and he's like, "This is crazy. How can we do this on real fur, animal fur?" Which like at the time I was kind of like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I want to be working on real animal fur right now, because like of just everything in the industry. Like I'm not trying to get blacklisted for using animal fur. You know, like to be honest, I think that like after taking, I'll tell you more in depth in a minute. But so he was like, can you please like put a proposal together? I have a friend that owns a fur company, and I want you to present it to him. So I ended up, let's see if I can actually find
髪の毛にずっと絵描きやって、それを見たカイルが、それをリアルファーでやったらどうなるの？面白そうじゃんって言って、一緒にプロポーザルを書いて、友達がやるそのファーカンパニーに送ったみたい。こんなのをやりたいんですみたいな。で、それで今見る写真のカバン、これ K ミエユロファー。これリュック長いけど、これリアルファーで作ったキャラクターの顔をしたカバンを最終的にそう作った。
One sec.
Saga far, okay.
These were like, So like I ended up making a proposal and started working with these fur companies. They really liked the dyeing that I was doing. And they ended up flying me out to Copenhagen over the summer, and I like did a whole workshop with them, and it was crazy because it made me totally look at fur and the fur industry differently. Like the way that they move is insanely like, I mean, they're like a smaller, very like sustainable, eco-friendly brand, Sega Fur. But like it was crazy, like mind-blowing experience. I never knew there was that many possibilities with fur. I wish I had like, I'm trying to find, let me see, hold up.
コペンハーゲンまで行って、夏の間に研修したみたい。この結果で、ファーのところに行って、wow.
I'll show you that. I'm literally trying to find the PDF that has all this stuff in it.
で、こんな感じでファーの勉強して、パターン引いて、それを全部ファーで作り変えたやり方なんだけど、これさ、だから多分俺らがモード学校の時にサガファーと一緒にやるよったよね、モードも。
あれですよね。
そう。それと一緒やと思う。 で、それで学生を受け入れて、ファーをやる。
最近もあるんです。
うん。で、仲高いけど、彼を皮切りに始めたわよ。そう。髪の毛を見て、これで行こうって言って、プロポーザルこうやって作って、送って、始めた。
So, Sega Furs is like a fur distributor. They're the largest like auction house of fur in the world, and then they pretty much paired me with local seamstresses in New York City to execute the garments. So I came up with like this little proposal. We ended up making like these coats. Fuck. Wrong thing. Shit.
I saw you made only bag. You actually made like.
Yeah, let me just. All right, so I'll just show you that. I wish I had the whole. I can't find the PDF of like the whole process, but I pretty much designed this tech pack for this like monster bag, and then here, wait. Let me try one more thing actually. Yeah, we designed this like backpack through them. Let's see.
So このモンスターをデザインして。
All right. Well, I can't find it. So
did you make
here's the backpack. Yes, we ended up making the backpack. Yes, right here.
Yeah, that one.
So here. Let's see. I think there's another picture of it. Yeah, this was my final collection for that. There's the backpack right there. Let me see if I can find.
The backpack. リュックあるの、それファーででき違って、モンスターの顔して。で、これが彼の FIT の最終コレクションのピース。で、めっちゃなんかね、いろんなヘッドピースのキャラクターの顔がおって、そのテキスタイルモンスターをなんか作って、本当にいろんなね、なんかよくよく見たら手とかね、顔とかがめちゃめちゃあるパターンカッティングをしちゅう。で、それをわざわざ、その上からペイントをしちゅうことによってカモフラみたいになってほぼ見えんっていうのが、
Yeah, this was kind of like, you know, one of my drawings for it. Like, it was, here's another picture of it. Right. Very interesting backpack. Let me see if I have. I have like a. I did like a fur coat with them. I'm trying to find a picture of it. Am I frozen right now, or can you hear me?
We can hear. We can see the bags now.
Okay, let's see what this is.
I like that.
I'm gonna go get my computer charger. Give me a sec.
で、このリュックを作ったんやけど、全部ファーでその髪の毛インスピレーションでリュック作って、パンツ作って、ジャケット作って、ヘッドピース。彼はめちゃめちゃすごいレイヤリングやきさ。ザ・服作る人って感じ。
さっきのディオールのジャケットも、で、触っただけで作ったんですか？解体までして作ったんですか？
解体してないよ。
してないですか？
してない。
すごいな。
Long story short, do whatever you want in fashion, because there's no rules. Seriously.
Yeah, man, I think that's best. When you like do what you want. I was working with someone that said like from a portfolio because I was just like, focused
be miserable. You'll be miserable if you don't.
Yeah, he was like focused on like trying to look pretty, and then it was like, no, you've got to propose. Fuck you, this is my message. You know what I mean? Like, this is my work.
Yep, that's literally what they told me to do. Just fuck you, do your thing, don't listen to anyone. You know, like do your own thing.
Yeah, and if you're doing that, you're winning, really. Was it expensive, this fur stuff? Because I gather that fur is a pretty expensive material.
Yeah, honestly, so the fur it's an expensive material to work with, but since they were kind of like a sponsor for me for my collection, I didn't have to pay for any of the fur, so it was free. And to be honest, like after you go out there and like look at how they're moving, like they could easily just give you fur. Like they have rooms of fur. Like it's kind of fucked, but
Oh, really?
let's see. Here's this is actually my undergraduate collection. Let me
So
see.
this is your BA?
I'm gonna show you it right now. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. That's
This is my BA collection. Just kind of like, you know, I was still learning how to make basic garments and then decorating them, you know. But yeah, this is full cut and sew by me, everything. Let's see. I need to find this fur coat. Hold up.
これが大学時代のやつやき。
I'm actually doing a collaboration with the fur company right now.
Oh, now? Wow.
It's like I'm making sample swatches for them for their like, you know, for their next collection. So pretty much they'll have like a show, and then designers will come and see all the samples that they have through like their designers, and you can purchase them for your own brand type thing.
Amazing.
And then here, I actually have, let me see.
Fur is so like poignant at the moment as well. Like if you can do it well.
Fur?
Yeah, there's not a lot of people
Fur,
nailing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, not a lot of people, and they're honestly, if you reach out to the fur company, I could always get you in contact with them. I swear they're always looking. They're always looking for people. I mean, they're kind of hurting right now. Like I feel like like with what's going on in the world, they actually had to close down the design center that they sent me to over the summer. But I feel like, you know, they're always looking for designers to keep using fur and supporting them, you know, and I think that if you're doing it in the right way, it can be sustainable, and it can be, you know, a better choice for the environment, because after going out there and then learning about how like all these synthetic furs like actually hurt the environment, it's like until people stop eating animals, like it's going to go hand in hand, in my opinion. You know, I mean, that's a pretty controversial thing to say, but I think that like unless people stop eating animals, we're still going to have fur, so we might as well not waste it, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
And
Yeah,
those
I'd love
factories that are making fake fur, like those, they don't have any ethics either. Neither of them have ethics. No one in the fashion industry has ethics, but you just got to pick which ethics you think are the best, I guess, you know.
And how you're
People
gonna
always
utilize
claim
them.
they have ethics. But yeah, this is like kind of what I'm doing right now for them, just like messing around, patchworking, kind of bringing back my original aesthetic to fur.
Wait, so that was a fur.
This is like, so it looks weird because we weren't really thinking, but we had fur cut into stripes, and when we put the stripes in different directions, so one fur goes this way, one goes this way, and then we had like a grading thing come in and like shave the top of the fur and put this checkerboard in it, and then now I'm kind of like, you know, doing this like patchwork over it. Here, I can send you a picture. Let me upload it off my phone real quick. This is confidential. Let me show you. This is insane. You're gonna love it.
Is this the stuff you're working on now?
Yeah, we haven't really released it yet, so try to keep it between us. But here is this is the company actually fucked up the samples many times. Now the new ones don't look as good because we only had one color of specific furs. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So the ones that they used the second time around were a little different from what I wanted them to do. But here, let me upload them to my computer. There's a lot of different possibilities with fur too. Like, I had a lot of fun doing it. It's totally a different learning curve though. Like, it is not like sewing fabrics at all.
I was gonna say, what machine are you using to get through that?
The machine. Have any of you guys used fur before?
No. I've used
Oh
duvet.
my god, it's insane. Wait, have you?
No, I used duvet. Oh, Sho, have you used?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
You use the machine that you have to put it through like this kind of?
Yeah.
It's like this. It's like this weird machine that has like these two like wheels, and you literally like have to like. So instead of putting your fabric on something flat, you just hold it in the air, and you don't have seams. There's no seams.
Yeah.
No seams. Like no seam allowance. No seam allowance. And it's like you literally are just like it's like a serger almost, and you kind of just like clip the edge. So strange.
Well,
Yeah.
Let me see. Here are these pics. Okay, so here's like one of the first ones. Fuck.
これ今彼がそのファンの会社と一緒になって開発しようやつ。You guys gonna sell those products?
Fur?
うん。
So it's just for their like samples for now. So they'll probably sell them to designers if they decide they want to use them for their collection. You get what I'm saying? Like they're making sample techniques for their like, I guess for their customers to look at.
I see.
And I think that they also, I'm not really sure, like they will make a collection, I think, out of they'll make a collection using these swatches, like of a couple garments to also like, you know, to put on the side of.
So they'll make the collection under Saga Furs. Do they have like
I gotta ask them about it because it sounded like they're not, like I've seen them make like their own stuff, but then I've also seen like them like kind of just sell the swatches to other brands and then they make the garment for the other brands because they already have all the like some of these brands don't have like a whole fur like division of people, you know.
Yeah.
But this was you can see these fur samples, right?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I guess kind of amazing. The first time I ever worked with fur, I sewed a better $ than these people in their thing. So me and the person I'm working with were really pissed. We're like, how did you sew a better $ your first time working with fur? And these people are supposedly like masters.
Masters, yeah.
Let me see if I can find a picture of.
これがファーで作ったサンプルね。で、ファーを縫うときってすっごいなんか特殊な機械でさ、挟むようにしてバーって縫うだね。それを使って縫い合わせ、カッティングして。ファーの見たら分かると思うけどさ、でっかいファーの生地なんてないじゃん。動物はちっちゃい木。だから裏見たらめっちゃ継ぎはぎだらけじゃん。細かく。それで作り合わせたやつ。
And then even like you know like this was from when I went to their last fur show. This is a picture of one of their swatches. I didn't make this, but this is just, you know, I thought it was really cool. They send me a PDF every time with like the different techniques and just showing you guys like the possibilities of what you could do with fur.
Right.
You know. This is all sewed into it, by the way. Like these are pattern pieces. This is the back of what it would look like.
So is that like a full coat? Skin?
これがさっきの裏側ね。どういう風に縫うか。
That it would be just like a little pelt. Yeah, I think it's a fox pelt or something. Here is the back of that first one I sent you. But it shows you how like, you know, it's kind of crazy like how like they sewed those little rectangles in under the red squares to create, you know, that little like.
これを作るさっきの裏側ね。
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Let's see. I might just take a picture off the Instagram or something.
Yeah, I'm on the website.
Yeah, they're based out of Finland, Denmark.
Oh, really?
Let's see. You know I have a picture of these. Yeah, working with fur is really fun. It's kind of crazy. Like, you don't use scissors. You use, like, a little X-Acto knife, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Let's see.
Expensive.
Yeah, yes. Also, like, when you see those Louis Vuitton fur coats that they're making now, all the monogram is sewn in. Those are pattern pieces.
Right.
So how are they using real fur? Yeah.
Yeah, for most of their pieces. Louis Vuitton uses real fur. There's a couple brands. A lot of brands are starting to use real fur again because they're realizing, like, you know, what I just told you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I try not to, like, advertise the real fur too much. I'll do it because I think that, you know, I had fun doing it, and I think that they pay well, too. Isn't necessarily a good reason, but I don't like necessarily like advertise it too much because I know a lot of people don't like it. If I post anything fur, I never say if it's real or fake. I just post it, you know.
There's that cancel culture, and you'll just get
really easily with fur.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm sending one more picture, and then I'll show you pretty much what I'm doing right now to wrap it up. But I wish I could find one sec. I have to unarchive this pic.
I just like remember like the conversation between like my professor said like persons has policy not using real fur. That's a school policy. Yeah, we cannot show any.
You guys used to use Sega, right?
like persons like cannot use real fur.
Oh, you can't use real fur.
Yeah, cannot.
But you guys used to do the Sega thing. That's funny because that's like you got at Parsons. They did the program that I did, used the same company, and then they left. So that's why they brought them to FIT.
Right. So yeah, they made new policy and cannot use real fur. And then I had a conversation with the professor that I brought. I was using real horse leather, which still has hair, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, it's kind of risky. It could be fur, but if its definition is leather, then fine. You know what I mean? So then I was like researching what's difference between fur and then leather.
Yeah, seriously.
And the people say if like we eat the animals, then going to be leather.
Yes, that's what I've been trying to say. You can't just like kill the animal, eat the meat, and then leave their freaking skin on there to die. Like back in the day when Indians were using every aspect of the animal, you know?
だからそのまあだからいろんなさ、Yes, that one was like kind of like the program. Lenny, look at.
I'm sending these pictures so I can finally show you them.
Lenny, look at that one. That one.
Oh, what is this?
That's a horse.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So I took the horse leather from my hometown.
Yeah.
So they little bit has like a hair. Yeah, that's a
whole hide. That's crazy. That's the inside of the horse.
Yes, that's the inside. So
You're
I was
crazy.
trying it.
I'll try and find the collection.
These are still sending.
Okay.
Just give me a sec. These are taking a minute to send.
そうパーソンズはね、ファー使ったらダメっていうポリシーがあるわけよ。で、それで俺が教授に対して、ファー、Yeah, that's the final. Horse embracing human. Literally just entire horse.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's I did. そうだからその、なんかファーはダメやけど、レザーは OK で、じゃあそのレザーにまだ毛がついちゃったらファーじゃないのかっていう、そのなんか定義。これはレザーで、これは、
These are your dollars, yeah?
なんだ。
そうなんかそういう差があって。
Here's Jack again. Let me show you this before I show you anything else. This is that jacket on the runway. It looks a little better. That black one. To go back like 10. And then, let's see.
This is like, you know.
I also,
that was inspired by what you are wearing, no? Like Japanese.
Yes. Yeah. Also, when I work with the fur, I try to tell the fur companies like to use as much like scrap fur and samples and things like that as possible. So that way, you know, we're trying not to kill new animals because there's a lot of ways of restoring fur from coats that are already made and fur garments. A lot of fur garments can have a second life. So that's like something that I focused on, trying to push these fur companies to, you know, be a little more sustainable and a little more friendly in the way that they're approaching these things instead of just butchering more animals, you know, because at the end of the day, like a lot of grandparents have old fur coats in their closet that aren't being used that could cut the sleeves off and be turned into something else. So I pretty much, for this project that I was doing, I took fur coats, old ones, like old ladies' fur coats. We cut them up and we turned them into a sportswear coat.
If you could do like a collaboration with just offcuts, that would be amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So I pretty much was like, look, we need to like do something with old coats because if we do real fur, people aren't going to like it. So this was literally like an old woman, like vintage fur coat that was, you know, down to the floor. And then we cut it, made sleeves and things, and it's fully lined and kind of, we gave it a completely new life and a completely new customer too, because the person who was wearing the original coat definitely probably not have been wearing this. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. これ昔のファーコートをリメイクしてそのスポーツウェアにしたって感じ。で、is it like even hand stitch, right? The technique.
And then the fabric that I also created that fabric that's inspired by like Japanese boro. I put my own spin on it with all the color.
Right.
Yeah.
日本のさ、手縫いでさ、やるこの柄つけるやつ、はざしとかと一緒よ。それを、やちが、like your heart is also like same, right? Your heart has like same.
Yeah. Honestly, after I came back from Japan, I was just obsessed.
Right. So, 日本のステッチすごい好きやって、 それをやって、それにカラーをつけてやるよ。
すごい。すごい。
そうそう、だからなんか結構なんか、ミックスカルチャーって感じ。だからなんか、レニーのさ、やつってなんか、わかるじゃん、誰のやつか、そこ。わかるのなんかスタイルがさ。
すごいな。
そう。で、タイダイとかもするのも、まあ、とりあえずペインティングから来ちゅうきさ、それは。染めとかペインティングとか、ハンドドローイングとか、スプレーペイントとかをテキスタイルにして、で、このサガーファーとの出会いで結構、ファーピースが、
And then also this, let me see if I have one more, like another sustainable project that I did with the fur company. It was taking like an old, let's see if I have a picture. Here it is. This was one of them. Let's see.
サステナビリティがやっぱり彼の結構ポイントやき、使い古された服を切り直して貼り付けてパッチワークにして、もう一回テキスタイルに直したりとか、その上から使い終わったものにペインティングすることによってもう一回価値を見出したりとか、なんかそういうのを結構やるよ。で、そのファートの会社とかも、新しく動物を殺すんじゃなくて余った毛皮とか、そのもうファーコートで着られになったトレンドが過ぎたやつとかを解体してもう一回作り直すみたいなことに力を入れて今やるよ。だからこれ MFA 終わってから、まあ MFA のコレクションでスタイルが確立されるじゃん。で、その後、それをkeep going で carry on しようって感じかな。
One sec, I'm just sending these from my phone to my computer.
だからなんか大体 MFA のコレクションをすると何が起きるって、大体そこでスタイルがね、確立するがってぐらい、やっぱ卒業したら働いたりさ、自分のことしないからさ、そんなにじっくり時間かけてどんなテクニックが自分のシグネチャーになるかなとか、どんなスタイルが自分らしいのかなって、研究する時間がほとんど取れになるきさ。だから大体みんなその2年間の研究でコレクションバンってやったやつを、コンティニューしていく。っていうか、それをさらに成長させていく。っていう使い方する人が多いね。
It's almost there. One sec.
It's okay.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Raining.
All right, this should have sent. Give me a sec. Here it is.
Raining again?
All right, here.
Summer.
Okay.
1枚目の写真は、1枚目の写真の背景は、日本を意識してるんですか？
どの1枚目？
これの1枚目、もう一個前の。
そんな日本っぽいとこあった？
I love your hair. I love your bang.
背景が和柄っぽかったね。
髪の毛好きやって。
あれ、Thank you.
No, he was asking like, the picture before this.
I didn't understand what you're saying, so I just said I love your hair because I was doing something.
No, he was asking the last picture you showed us.
Which one? The fur coat?
Before this.
Let's see. This one?
これは後ろの和柄みたいのは意識してたんですか？
Is it like intentionally you capture the background looks like a Japanese pattern?
Honestly, like usually, no, I did not intend that. But I'm saying like, when I go shoot my stuff, I kind of just like, it's last minute, very like, oh, I finished my garment. Let's go outside my apartment and shoot it in the street. Like, not very planned.
あんまり計画立ててシューティングとかするんじゃなくて、よし、もうできた、よし、外に撮りに行くぞって感じで、家の近くのストリートで写真を撮ったっていう感じ。まあだから、彼の作品はそんな感じで、なんか作り込んだ世界観っていうより、もうちょっとリアルの中に自分のテキスタイルが飛び出して、その街
It's very real life to me. Like, very just like real life, my actual life. Like, garment was made in my life kind of thing, like in my environment, and then it's just taken right outside. But as you can see, like with these, it's like, this was like a military coat. I didn't make the coat. We pretty much bought the coat. We took the stuffing out of it, and I did a Japanese boro, and then we took a old, like little pieces of fur and sewed them all together to make the lining.
Also, did you take yourself?
The photos?
Yeah.
Yeah, every photo.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I honestly, I taught myself photography because I was never really happy with the way photographers were doing my stuff. Like, sometimes I do have a photographer shoot my stuff. Like, I'll tell you if I do, but for the most part, it's always me because that's just then I can get my exact vision, you know. And I hate when I have photographer take my pictures and then I want to do a different edit on top of their picture. You know, like sometimes their picture is good, but you want to edit it different.
Right. そう、彼は自分で写真を撮るだね。っていうのが、まあ、フォトグラファーと一緒にやってからあんまり気に入ったことなくて。I love the piece.
So these are pretty much like, you know, this concept of taking some, like, we were going to do this whole thing where people could donate their coat and then we would give it a new life and give it back to them, you know, maybe they stained something on it and maybe it got ruined and then we could pretty much, you know, turn it into this. It could be a ruined, we could take something that's ruined and still turn it into something pretty much.
これもなんか古着の上に再加工。That's like recently what you're doing, right?
Yeah, so, you know, and now that I'm not really in New York, I'll just like show you what I'm pretty much doing right now. Like, pretty much, fuck. Now I gotta get rid of all this. One sec. 1,000 things open. Pretty much I'm like working with what I can because there's not many fabric stores and things aren't really flowing as easily here. So I'm kind of just like, let's see, almost there. 10 more things. I'm honestly just like recreating. I'm like taking like bandanas, dyeing them, doing a lot of patchwork. Kind of like some simple stuff. I'm just playing around with dyeing a lot right now, dyeing fabrics and taking like t-shirts and shit like that. And they've been selling. I hate like sewing t-shirts and all. Like if it comes to simple stuff like this, like I'll probably just, you know, buy the shirt and dye it. I've been kind of just playing around with like dyeing techniques. I want to get back into like doing shibori and things like that because I took a class back in the day on I think those are Japanese dyeing techniques, right? Shibori.
Yeah.
I took a Japanese dyeing class and then like that's when I started dyeing fabrics.
Oh.
And I was doing all these like really fun techniques and stuff and but when I moved to New York and I had less room in my apartment and I didn't have like a legitimate like dyeing studio, I kind of like stopped doing those things and I did more simpler things like tie dyeing. But I want to get back into like the shibori and then what is like, I forgot some of the other techniques that I was learning. Shibori is the one where you tie it, right?
Yeah, tie.
What's the one where you clamp it? It sounds similar to shibori kind of. You like clamp things in it, right?
Yeah, that's yeah. You should know. She's from Kyoto.
Yeah.
Like that's like you know from her hometown. But I know like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Shibori.
Yeah, so I love doing that stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's stuff.
Shibori. Yeah.
And-
forget.
Here, actually. So now that like I haven't been sewing anything because of like my sewing machines are still in New York. And everything, and I hate working on like those little sewing machines. That's just the fabrics I work with are way too heavy. So I've just been focusing on dyeing fabrics because I think when I get back to New York, I'm really gonna like do some crazy fabric dyeing, like 20 yards of fabric or something. I've been doing weird stuff like this,
Nice.
just kind of experimenting, simple stuff. But the stuff that I think's really cool is I've been taking like eco-friendly and trying to dye with pot leaf.
Oh, I see. 葉っぱにインクをやってスタンプする。
I literally cut leaves off plant and then I pretty much like looked up how to do these eco-friendly dyes and like hammered the leaves in and they're pretty permanent using like the cellulose in the dye. This is crazy too.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's where I'm at right now. Pretty much just
That's cool. Would you mind if we're gonna do like Q&A?
Yeah, go for it.
Go. Would you mind to stop sharing your screen and then we can see your face better?
Perfect.
Okay, great. I have.
You couldn't even see the things I was just showing you, could you?
We could see, but just
the
like
shirts I was hanging up. Oh my god.
Tiny. But we could like still see though, like the patterns, the colors. Did you see? Yeah. That's beautiful.
All right.
Is it like what kind of pigments did you use?
Pot leaf, cannabis leaf.
That's nice. So
so illegal in China and Japan.
That's nice. No, like my question. So like you guys had like a runway show, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, like in February.
Yes.
How did it like go? I mean,
It was weird, you know, like it was kind of like we weren't really sure if we were going to have a show or not with the whole thing with the program, and I don't know. I think the show, it could have had a better outcome. I think that like they tried to make it very exclusive to like industry only, which I think is stupid, because in today's world, like the industry and the people, the normal people are really what make it, not just the industry alone, you know? So like I was telling them, like, we need to have it open to the public. Like we need to have the line going down the street. We need to have people begging to get in here, you know? Like that's fashion. Like fashion tries to be too, fashion tries to be pretty exclusive nowadays, and I think that's very important in fashion, but I think you need to like build the hype around it too, you know? You can't have the exclusivity if people don't know you.
right. So, FIT
The show was fine. The show was fine. The show was fine. Wait, yeah, translate.
その企業の人来たけど、なんか彼はまあ今最近ファッションはなんかそのなんかエクスクルーシブでなんかそのなんか限られた人だけってやりすぎやき、彼の意見としてはなんかみんなが入れるようにしてから見せた方がいいってなったけど、言ったけど結局はまあ限られた人だけでやったけど、Yeah, show is good.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, obviously we had that like controversy happen during our show with like the racist accusations and things. So, I mean, being part of a show that had like that was just like, it was kind of crazy. It was a little surreal. Like, you know, the program was already kind of like this and very bumpy, and then to have some stuff like that happen at the end of the year was just like, oh my God, it couldn't get any worse, you know?
Right.
So,
and it's like just before COVID, you know, it's just crazy. Like you guys like down and then got the COVID. How is Kyle? Like, what?
Honestly, no one has talked to him. He hasn't. I've tried to contact him. He's been kind of just MIA. So I hope everything's okay. I'm sure he probably went back to wherever he's from, like London or something.
Okay. Do you think like he gonna still?
No, I don't think he teaches there anymore.
Right.
I don't think.
So that means like they might have like a new director or something.
They are right now. Right now, I'm friends with a couple of the students that are still there, and it seems like it's a little all over the place. You can go take the classes in person or online. A lot of the students already went back to their countries, so they are staying in their countries and not coming back to New York. So only a couple, like 5 students are going to be taking the classes online or in person. The rest are going to be online. They do have like a new professor, but are like change. You know, it's going to be different for sure.
Right. そう、今そのカイルはもう多分オラになって新しいダイレクターなのかなって感じだけど、まだそのなんかリサーチの途中みたいなっていうのがそのなんかHonestly,
if you're thinking about applying there, oh shit, my connection is bad. I say if you're thinking about applying there, I would wait like another year just to see like if it continues, you know, because I'm a little nervous for the current students, and I'm a little nervous that it, like, I was even nervous for the students after me that it wasn't going to continue and that they're going to be kind of like shut down halfway through, you know? So, I mean, I think if this COVID thing didn't happen, I would say do it, but like this COVID thing, it has really made it even harder.
Right. Yeah. Venture, did you know about the FIT MFA runway show and the things?
No.
The controversy.
No.
So one of my friends made a collection, and then like he was accused of like getting racist inspiration, which he had no intention of doing. I think he saw something that he thought was cool and didn't really realize it was racist in today's world, and like he put it as like the styling. And but like we were all over the news. Like the next morning, like my friend texted me like, we're in a coffee shop and your runway show's on the news right now. Like it was a crazy situation, you know. And I think that I don't know if it was for the good or the bad or what, but
yeah, they say all publicity is good publicity, but maybe not racism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know, I tell him like, it kind of sucks, you know. He didn't have intention for that. I hope he doesn't get canceled or something. So
that's shit,
but,
man.
Yeah. So
it's a bad time for that sort of thing as well. Like
exactly, and you know, I think that you know, having something like that that's major like that kind of strike your program, and then having COVID-19 come in where it's like, all right, like you're already hurting from the last thing, but now you can't even have students come to school because everyone's sick. It's like, you know, a lot of programs are falling through.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people have been angry as well, so like maybe they just took it out on that, which is a shame.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's
I don't
never
know.
benefit of the doubt, is it? It's always kind of like trial by. Like, yeah.
You know, like I spoke to these students after, and they were very like, "Oh my God!" Like we had no clue, and they still were like, "We don't even see the resemblance." So I think it's more of like a cultural difference, you know.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, man, that's a shame. That's a shame.
So, what have you guys been working on? Have you guys been sewing and stuff, or everything's? Where are you at right now? You're in London.
Me, I'm in London in September, but do you know Nottingham? Probably
No,
not.
where's that?
Well, if it's not London, I guess you don't really know.
No, where is it? By like Shoreditch or something?
It's do you know Manchester?
Yeah.
Near Manchester, north.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah. So it's like 2 hours away from London at the moment, but I've been making coats and doing some work
Cool.
for Sho.
Nice. Yeah, I love Shoreditch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I worked in London for a little bit. It's a cool place in Soho.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I was
so what questions you got for me, buddy?
いや、なっちゃん、質問あったら、FIT 先言おったけど、その COVID が入ってから、プログラムが継続されるのかどうなのかわからんっていう状況やき、どうなっていくんだろうっていう感じ。まあなんか、Natsuki actually applied last year to MFA
Interesting.
before COVID happened.
Okay.
I don't know, like, I think like they were like being just crazy.
Yeah, they were very like all over the place. I think that it wasn't very organized, and after the first, I was the first cohort there, so it was very like we're the test run, you know, test trial and error. So I think that it was kind of hard for them. They didn't know what they were doing on the next admissions thing, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think like I was also like going.
And I'm gonna say also depending on what you applied with, could have totally because when Kyle was there, he was looking for students that had nothing to do with fashion design. So if you applied there with fashion design, he might have rejected you and then take someone who has there were students in my class that had never sewed before or never ever studied fashion, but were making clothes. It was kind of weird.
Right. Yeah, I was also going to teach at the MFA with Amar. Yeah, so then I was okay, we already made a plan what to teach, and then with COVID everything canceled, and then they need to figure out new kind of program.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know what they are doing now, but
Amar is pretty cool.
Yeah, Amar is cool. そう彼も言ったけど、そのファッションバックグラウンドがない人も結構 MFA におるき、まあそういうユニーク性みたいなのはすごい買い取ってくれるけど、カイルじゃなくなった時どうなるかわからんっていう。それも踏まえて質問あったら質問して。こう質問あったらいいよ。
日本語でもいいですか？今ちょっと考えたんで。
いや。
MFA じゃなくて BA の方、というかBA の方はすごくアジア人がすごい多いって聞いたんですけど、MFA も同じ割合なんですかね。
wait, how many?
多いなので。
How many students MFA?
15 per class, about 15 to 18, very small.
Right, 15 to 18, and how many Asians?
Majority.
I think 12, or no, 10.
Yeah, I would say there's probably 3 people that weren't Asian.
Yeah, so 15人から18人のうち3人以外は全員アジア人。
That's totally, you got to also realize that's also a big thing into paying tuition, because you guys pay way more coming to America, whereas I only paid I paid $5,000 for the whole program because I live in New York and I'm in state, you know what I'm saying? Very cheap for me, but for someone who lives in a different state even, they pay more than me. But if you come from a different country, it's you're paying a ton. So I feel that's definitely something the teachers try to find, because it's I don't know.
Yeah,
many reasons.
Yeah,
they dedicate half of their places, full half to international students, because it's 37,000. a year.
And I feel like it's got to be like it has to maybe be something in like Chinese culture or Asian culture in general to come to America to study fashion too, you know, because it's like it's not only FIT, it's a lot of schools, like you were just saying.
Yeah. FIT は、まあ、ほぼアジア人なんだけど、レニーあれさ、ニューヨーク出身でニューヨーク住みやん。だからそういう人って FIT 受けるのめっちゃ授業料が安いかね。で、入っちゃうけど、基本的にはまあ学校はビジネスじゃないからさ、いっぱい払ってインターナショナル取りたいっていうのもまああるっちゃある。まあ多いのと、あとやっぱり中国人はリッチやきさ、そういうところに留学来れるじゃん。だからそれも全然違うかな。Yeah. It's very similar to like Parsons MFA as well. Like there are like so many Chinese people. I am the only one like from Japan, and I think like FIT MFA never had like Japanese.
Which school?
Yeah,
FIT.
MFA. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've had any Japanese students yet.
Yeah. That's like I think like definitely in general Japanese are like very less than Chinese now.
It just doesn't make sense. Like we went to Japan, but we don't have any students, you know, from Japan.
Yeah, I think also like the problem is like we don't really study English, so it's very
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. Like I was fucked when I went to Japan. Like it was so hard.
Right, so
hard to like get around and shit because no one speaks English there.
Right,
Whereas then like when I went to Hong Kong, it's like everyone speaks English there, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's like quite like ironic too. Like everyone knows like Japanese culture. And then like people like saying, oh, we love this like, Japanese.
In Japan, like younger cultures are trying to like make that a little more open, you know, like that was the first thing that when I got an Airbnb in Tokyo, it was saying like, hey, welcome to Japan. Like traditional Japanese cultures don't like Americans, but I'm younger and we're trying to make it more open to everyone. Like, and we're trying to learn English, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's just, those are the people, like you got to wait until people start to learn a little more because old traditions and old generations in Japan do not want to speak English.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the reason like why I'm doing this is design lab as well. Because I believe like Japanese like like students are like amazing, talented.
Yeah.
They don't have like any like kind of like opportunity to show
because of the barrier of language.
Yeah, so that's like I'm just like kind of like try to inspire them to study English as well if they want to do something. Because
I would totally do that. If I ever had the chance to take like Japanese or Chinese, I took Spanish growing up. I would never take Spanish. I would have taken Chinese or Japanese, but like if I applied to like some schools out there or something because there's so much stuff. But it's like if you don't know the language, it's so hard. Like it's so restricting. Like there were students in my class who didn't know any English at all, like literally none. The teacher let them into the program not knowing any English, which is so fucked up. And then like their life was 10 times harder and they didn't have as much fun, you know? They didn't have as much fun or get to like enjoy the MFA as much as they could have because of the language barrier, you know? Like how are you supposed to enjoy, like the whole point of the MFA is being in a classroom with people from all over the world and get different critiques and get that. How are you supposed to get that if you don't understand what anyone's saying? You know? The teacher is telling you this sucks and you don't even know what that means. Like,
yeah, because like I went like the critic and then like yeah, I met like one student definitely like couldn't understand any of like
just like this the whole time.
Yeah, and then they like start crying in front of like audience, and I was like, don't worry, like I feel you, but like
I feel you.
Yeah, like they're like struggling what to say, you know what I mean? And then like they don't understand, they're like critics, feedback, so like they're like just struggling like themselves, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not only are they struggling to get the work done, they're struggling to figure out how they're gonna survive.
Yeah. So
like they don't even know what the assignment is for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I would have students, like I always really tried to help the Chinese students by like talking to them in English, just even though they didn't understand me, I just keep talking to them. Eventually, like, the Chinese students who sat at my table eventually started learning English better, and like I think that like they were really thankful that I kind of was like an asshole to them at first, like, no, you need to learn, like stop just talking to each other in Chinese over here, it's gonna make it way harder for you, like it's gonna be way harder, like.
Right. Do you know what they are doing now, your classmates?
Yeah, a lot of them went back to China, and then a few of them are still in America, like kind of just hanging out.
Okay. So you are the only one doing your own things?
Yes, I'm the I'm the only one doing my own thing. I think everyone else either just kind of is doing nothing or got a job for someone else.
Okay, so like, what's your future plan?
What was that?
What's your future plan? What are you gonna?
My future plan is to just keep doing what I'm doing and playing it by year, because I feel like the future of fashion, you don't necessarily need to be a huge corporation. You can make a lot of money doing small boutiques. For example, you go to New York City and there's like a little boutique in Soho, and you know how much they pay for rent, so clearly they're making some money.
だい。そう、
You know?
そうだから、さっき聞いたのは、まず FIT に行くときに言葉喋る人いっぱいおったけど、それって何が辛いって先生が言うことがわからんし、フィードバックがわからんの。で、明日やる宿題もわからんき、本当にそれで、苦しみる生徒っていっぱいおるがっていうのが MFA って点数なくてもいいよって入ってからがまあすごい辛いみたいなことがあるき、英語は本当大切っていう話。だから、同じ言葉喋るんじゃなくて、彼自体は英語ですごい喋りかけたりしたりとかしよったけど、やっぱそういうのってクリエーションやっていく上ですごい必要やけ、英語はちゃんとやった方がいい、分かった方がいいよねっていう話のと、彼はまあ将来的に自分のやることをキープゴーインして、このブランドとしてやってるけど、クラスメートでブランドとしてやる人は誰もおらんくて、今彼だけが唯一やるよ。
And I feel like, also quick, like with what we're all going through, everyone's really depressed. Everyone's been in their house. After all this is over, even now that it's starting to become over, you're starting to see a large surge in the arts and the fashion, because people want to express themselves. They've been in their house stuck. And I think that people are willing to kind of they've been like, holy fuck, we only have one life, and we just wasted months in our house during this COVID. So people are going to be more willing to express themselves. People aren't going to have money, so people are going to be willing to go DIY, do things at home, make their own clothes. People are going to be making their own clothes because they can't afford new clothes. So I think we're kind of going back into that hipster thing that we saw in America and early in Japan, when Levi's and Harajuku and all those places were had the kids who were punk, and those kids were just on the rise, back in the 90s kind of. And I think that we're going to see a rise of that. And I think that fashion over the past couple years and over this last century has told us you're not going to make money unless you have production, unless you're not going to make money unless you have a whole corporation with trucks sending clothes around. And even in my undergrad, that's what I learn how to make a tech pack, learn how to make a business plan. And honestly, through my MFA, I learned that's not me. I was studying to be someone who I actually wasn't, and I embraced myself as an artist who does things for myself, and as I do it with my own hands, and people try to think oh, if you do it for on your own hand, it's manufactured, it's still made by someone, and it's it totally people have this weird perspective of being made in a factory. They think it's better quality or something, whereas you could go hand dye these shirts I'm doing and sell them for a couple $100s each shirt, it cost me nothing to make that shirt. It's you can still make money. You can make a lot of money on smaller scale production, on artisanal pieces. Sho, you could sell your pieces to Lady Gaga and make $100,000 in one garment, and be fine, whereas the Gucci has to sell 1,000 shirts to make that much money because their shirts are it's just mass production stuff. I think that the future of fashion is going more towards smaller brands and local things like that, and people supporting people don't want to be a robot. People want to be one of one. They want to be unique. Everyone in this chat is unique,
Like who is your customer?
My customer, I think, varies anywhere from like I said, my thing's kind of always evolving, when I made that shirt with the naked girl on it having sex, a lot of people liked it, but only certain people, some people would be like, oh, I love this shirt, but can you make me one without it because I can't really wear that in public, whereas some people would literally say, I want that, and buy 3 of them and wear them in public like a crazy person. So I don't know, it's weird. I get customers who are, who I would never expect to buy my stuff. I get customers who I do expect to buy my stuff.
Right. So you do your business through online?
Yes, Instagram mostly.
Okay.
Your website's really good.
Thank you. I did that myself.
Really?
Oh.
I use this website called Weebly. It's it's pretty easy to use.
Yeah, it's sick, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I have a question.
Yeah, add me on Instagram too, you guys. If you ever have any questions, you can always just slide in my DM and ask me a question too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I already
Also-
shared your account. Yeah, go ahead, your question.
Oh, thank you. Did someone drop out?
Of my program?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone did actually the first week.
First week.
Yeah, this one girl, like, I think she found a better opportunity, a job opportunity or something. She just disappeared after 2 weeks, never came back. And I think she found a job that was paying, and she was like, I'd rather go get paid than study right now. So that's what she did.
Oh, I see. Was
But no
any...
one, like, failed.
Oh, no one failed?
No one got, like, kicked out, failed out. I think someone might have, like, some of the Asian kids had to retake a semester because they did so bad on, like, the elective courses where they had to write a paper in English.
Oh, I see.
That obviously was going to happen. Everyone would have known that. It's like you don't speak English. How do you expect these people to write a paper?
Yes.
Like, so fucked. So fucked.
Yeah, right.
So not fair.
Yeah. Wait, the question, like, so for your like final, how many looks you guys need to create? Like 8 looks minimum?
It was supposed to be like 12 or 18 looks, but we ran out of time because the program was such a disaster. So they said, like, oh, you can make 8 or something. Like, I don't even know. It was a mess.
Mm.
We waited till the last minute to start making clothes. We didn't make clothes until the second year.
Right.
We did a whole year in the program not making any clothes. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and you guys had like a pattern maker and then seamstress.
There was supposedly supposed to be one, but like they weren't very professional. There was kind of just like someone helping out. Like, I think if you needed help, you should have just done it on your own. You probably would have gotten better results.
I see. And then like I have a question, like when you're like at the BFA, have you ever thought going to work for some other companies?
Yeah, I actually wait. Let me tap in on what you just said about the last thing about What did you just ask me about the seamstress? That's like one thing like I noticed a lot of students doing who came to the MFA who maybe didn't know what they were doing or didn't ever sew before. They would ask the seamstress or the teacher saying like, hey, how do I make this? Like they would draw their picture, right? And they'd say, hi, how do I make the pattern for this? But it's like, if that's your own design, how is anyone supposed to make the pattern for that? You have to figure it out on your own. Granted, you could pay someone to try to figure it out on your own. Like you could go to the garment district and show the professional ladies, say, hey, like, can you help me make this? And they could probably figure it out because they've done it so many times. But for someone who's just a basic pattern design maker who can make like shirts and button downs and you show them that goes like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to know how to just make it from a picture. Like you have to like provide them like a sample. Like they can't see inside a picture, you know, like it's hard to see. And then, what were you saying about this next thing? Sorry, translate what I just said.
No. まあ先言ったのはそのなんかパターンメーカーとか縫い子の話やけど、その自分でデザインするもの、自分でさこうやってデザインするじゃん。でそれをさどうやって作るかって聞き回る人がいっぱいおったけど、誰も知るわけないじゃん自分でデザインしたらいき。だからそういうののやり取りでなんかこうごちゃごちゃするっていうのはすごいよく見よった。No, I was asking like, before MFA, have you ever thought going to work for like company?
Before the MFA, no, I had never like sewed. I had just sewed in my undergrad, learning all the technical stuff. I had never sewed for any designers or worked for any of the designers or anything. And then throughout my MFA, I actually like as I got more exposure in New York City, people started reaching out to me. And I started doing like freelance work and stuff like that for like designers. So let me show you like, I don't really post this stuff because usually it's me just kind of doing what they want me to do. But let me see if I might have a couple pictures of like this recent thing that I did.
俺がさっき聞いたのはその BFA でさ縫製使用書書いたりとかさ、彼はできるきさ、塗ったり、だから会社に向かって働くつもりでやりよったのかなって聞いたら、別にそういうつもりでやったわけじゃなくて、それ知っちゃった方が自分のためになると思って勉強して、まあその後にフリーランスとしてなんかデザイナーの人に頼まれたやつやったりとかはしようけど、そんなになんかどっかに働くぞって考えたことは意識したことはないって。
なんでそんななんか
I'm just gonna show you
食器みたいな感じ
just
の。
like random. like I have like a random company, this company in a kind of corny company in New York just says like, hey, we want you to make our runway pieces. Like, can you please sew them? So like they paid me to make them for them, you know?
I see.
Yeah, some freelance. I do a lot of like graphic design I do more graphic design work for other designers though, because that's what they want you to do nowadays. No one wants you to sew.
I see. That makes sense. こうなんて言うのさっき
If you're working for another designer as a fashion designer, you're probably going to be sitting on a computer, sadly.
Oh my god, that's true. That's so true.
Like that's why I work for myself, because I don't want to design on the computer.
So design
like you're going to be using Flow.
Yeah, that's so true. Like the designer, like assistant designer means just like.
Yep, design on Clo, design tech packs, or like even if you are designing the clothes from start to finish, you're making them on a digital thing.
Yeah,
you're making them on Optitex or some type of like I forgot what they call those things, like a digital render. Like it's called Clo. Do you know what Clo is?
No, what's that?
Clo, like. It's like the thing that you make the flat patterns in they didn't teach you this at Parsons. It's like a pattern making thing. You like make the garments flat and then it shows you like a 3D rendering of them. Yeah. Yes, Clo. That's what they call it, Clo. Yes.
Yeah.
Not trying to do that.
そうだからとりあえずまあ会社に働いてデザインをするってまあほぼ全部パソコン作業になるけど自分はそんなことしたくないき自分でやることにしたっていう話。
Some people are really good at using Clo, but I think that you need to learn how to use traditional cut and sew before you learn how to do Clo. Like, I don't know, like it's hard to understand Clo if you don't know how to work with a garment physically.
Yeah, that's so true. だまあそういう何をとしたこう今。
いやなんかなんで日本の職人さんみたいななんかアナログ的なことがすごいなんで好きなのかなっていう。
Does he work digital? I can tell. Does he work with a lot of digital?
No. He like そんなデジタル使わないよねこう。
はい。
These pictures behind him on the wall. They look very rendered.
そうなんかそれ自分のドローイング。No, that's his research. Like his research paper. Yeah, he's more like kind of like same
hands-on.
Same like you, like
okay,
like
cool.
And the cutting and all the stuff. And then he was just asking like why you very like obsessed with like physical experience, like experience, more than the virtual kind of thing.
Like the thing I was talking about with the rooms.
I mean, like like why about you doing like more craftsmanship? Why you are so.
I just find it like I don't know. I just like doing it. I find it's very like beautiful. There's like a human air to it to me. Like I like human like craft stuff. Like that's like I don't know. There's something very pleasing in it to me. Whereas like I don't know. I just don't like going like after like making clothes. You realize how shitty some of these like designer like brands are that are mass produced. Like a screen printed shirt with like nothing else on it. And like I feel like when I dye like for example when I dye those T-shirts, it like takes a lot of time and like. It's like I don't know, just more effort into it, more love and passion, I guess. Like,
and
I like to make things one of one. Like I like to give people a unique piece.
はい、そう一点物作るのが好きで、もうそのユニークなものを渡すとか作るとかそういうのがもっと好きで、もうなんかそんな特になんか考えたことないけど、ひたすらそういうのが好きっていう感じじゃない。だから着るもの見たらわかるわ。そういうのが好きなわけよ。職人室って。
And these are things that I kind of just grew up doing. Like like I painted a lot. I kind of like did some hand stitching as a kid and stuff. And then I kind of just incorporated them into my stuff. It's everything I've learned in my entire life incorporated into like if I learn something tomorrow, you can bet it's probably going to be in the next collection. Like it just keeps adding on.
Right. そうだからもともとそういうのがちっちゃい頃からずっと好きやけ、そういう風になったっていう。That's great. Yeah, that was great. Thank you for sharing your work.
Of course. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. And then for Lenny, next spring, the Design Lab going to open a studio in Tokyo. So it's gonna be a physical studio, and then please like.
I'm coming out to visit for sure.
Yeah. So and then like
I cannot wait to take another trip out to Japan. I just need to get the fuck out of America. It sucks.
Yeah, like let's do like you are like tie-dye, some sort of like workshop.
Yeah, I would be so down. We could do a whole lab, a dyeing lab or something.
Yeah, so let's do those things like in Tokyo. Next April, for sure, we're gonna open studio. So like we might gonna have like new students as well. And I'm planning to do like physical experience for the students as well. So you are like part of like
we could do this over. We could do dyeing class over the. We should teach a dyeing class over the digital one day.
Right. So true.
It will not be that hard.
That's cool.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it. Like I love it. Like I did it like tie-dye myself just like a couple weeks ago as my first time.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, it's fun. I did like everything like at my kitchen, like very small
It's so
scale.
fun.
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly. That's how I do it in my apartment in New York. It's a mess. It's like a little factory. It's like a factory in my apartment in New York. Chemicals everywhere, spray paint.
Yeah, I also love to like explore the natural dye as well.
Yeah, I need to do more research on that because I'm still literally experimenting. But I'd be so down because I know that'd be something that like you'd be interested in, and I know you probably have some weird plants that you would like to try it on.
Yes, I'd love to. Yeah, let's.
And we could try to dye with some bugs.
Yeah,
let's try to dye with some bugs.
Love to do that.
Like dash some bugs up and dye a shirt with them or something. So gross. I would not wear this, but you can wear this.
Yeah, I can wear that. You know,
like masks. You can make masks made from dead bugs.
Yeah, I love that. Like I always like love to have like dead bugs on my.
You love it. You're just like a walking zombie.
Yes, I love it. That's me.
I love it.
But
I love what you did with the mosquito the other day. That was pretty cool. With
thank you.
How you caught it, sucking your blood, and then you put it in your nail.
Yeah,
So sick.
Yeah, that's every day in my life, what I do. But thank you. Like, let's just do something together again.
All right, buddy. Hit me up. It was nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, nice meeting you. And then if you guys have any question, you can also DM Lenny.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'd love to see your works too. So send me them.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
You
Take
too.
care. Hit me up.
Yeah.
See you later. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, great.